I'm Victoria, and if you're new here, I'm a scientific illustrator. I'm going back to school to become a medical illustrator. During my last degree, I had a chance to get back into reading, and so I thought I would share some of the books that I've read over the years that have resonated with me as a scientist and as an artist. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of these, and if there's anything that stuck out to you about these books. I hope that some of these could be like your next summer read. There's quite a variety of stories here, and there's one nonfiction book as well. But yeah, they are all kind of related to my interests in scientific illustration. The first book is called The Art of Vanishing by Lynne Kutsukake. It's set in 1970s Japan. A girl moves from her small town to Tokyo to go to medical illustration school. And she meets another girl and a few other characters as well who change her perspective on art and life. The story didn't focus a lot on medical illustration itself, but there were a lot of quotes that connected medical illustration to the main character's traits and story arc. One of the quotes is along the lines of, "Medical illustrators must be truthful above all else. However, truth can be shown in parts or pieces. Above all, medical illustrators must show the function of the subject, which is something that cannot be simply shown in a photograph. You have to have an intimate knowledge of the subject." Besides discussing the philosophy behind medical illustration, this book also delves into some of the frustrations amongst the youth in 1970s Japan. These frustrations about class and capitalism really kind of sparked up these artist movements, what it means to be an artist, and can you monetize your artwork and still be ethical? And so a lot of these questions are posed by some of these other characters. There's kind of like a twist, but you can kind of see it coming. Yeah, it's just a very compelling, entertaining story as well, in my opinion. I took a graphic novel English course in university, and one of the readings was 100 Demons by Lynda. 100 Demons is a graphic novel about certain life moments that the author considers her demons. And they aren't all bad things. Some of them are like life lessons or bittersweet moments. But all of them are impactful short stories that may or may not be completely true, as she suggests in the intro that parts of it might be fiction, even dropping a hinting autobifictionolography on the table of contents page. There are lots of little Easter eggs, like this little monkey drawing that shows up, and all of the pages have funky illustrations and collages. She explores heartbreak, navigating the world as a white passing mixed person, what resilience means to her, first jobs, friendships. Another book where the illustrations really made the story impactful to me was The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. If you were a reader when the book came out and in the years around when the movie came out, you've definitely heard of this book and probably read it. Some people would consider it like a modern classic, I think. This retelling of censorship and extermination of minorities in Nazi Germany is definitely not the only one out there, but it's written very creatively from the perspective of death, and it really highlights small and brave acts of resistance under a fascist regime. A book more related to academia that resonated with me is the somewhat recent release Katabasis, I don't know how to pronounce it, sorry, by R.F. Kuang, and I do have one of the editions with this cover and the sprayed edges. I think it's my favorite one that was released. As an artist, I can really appreciate the thought that went into these designs. If you've ever been in a doctoral program before, or even in a master's degree, you will relate to the pressure the main character feels, because essentially she needs the reference of her supervisor for success in her future career so badly that she's willing to risk the dangers of hell to bring him back from the dead. There are some other twists that show that there's kind of more to it than that, but the book really highlights the mindset that academia can produce, and the book wrestles with a lot of life questions like, what does a happy life look like? What does love look like, and more. I personally really liked the magic system in this book. As a reader, I don't think you have to take it too seriously. But I will say that taking a basic intro to philosophy in university really helped me understand some of the thought process behind these paradoxes and like how the magic system worked in this book. The Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice, at least the first two which I have read, have really distinct characters with quite fleshed out worldviews. As an artist, I really enjoyed this book because you can really tell that several of the main characters come to have this real appreciation for the arts, and they find the pursuit of knowledge and beauty to be their guiding light in this world where they have become vampires with no end to their existence in sight. Lestat, the main character of the second book, and he's also mentioned in the first book a lot, he develops this life philosophy that the world is a beautiful garden but savage, meaning subject to unpredictability and violence. Tragedies are inevitable elements that enhance the splendor of the garden. Essentially, these characters are trying to make sense of an existence that relies on the suffering of others. They were victims of other vampires, and now they must drink blood to not experience the painful searing hunger. In the first book, Louis, the main character, mainly drinks from animals, while Lestat in the second book drinks from criminals, even though the blood of young innocent people tastes better. There's some allusion to like sexual stuff as well, and there are probably metaphors in there that I won't explore here, but I found these moral choices and different justifications for their actions really reflects the human condition, where most of our comfortable existence was or is at the expense of others. At least across history, exploitation has always played a part in the rise of civilizations. I think these books encourage us to consider our impact on the world and how we justify our choices. On that somber note, I will say that I'm definitely more interested recently in reading books that have some sort of philosophical commentary, so feel free to give recommendations in the comments. Another book that I feel really addresses the human condition is I Who Have Never Known Men. It's popular for a reason. It essentially explores what it means to be human from the perspective of a girl who only remembers being in captivity. She doesn't know about typical social structures or certain experiences that are considered normal in our society. Yesteryear is also a book that's recently made waves, and yes, it is popular for a reason as well. If you have any similar recommendations, I would definitely be open to hearing about those. Finally, a non-fiction book. It's a big one. This book is a compilation of anatomical visuals across different time periods and different media. This book explores humankind's quest to understand all aspects of our bodies. This was given to me by my dear friends for my birthday last year. There's some background information on each subject. It's a beautiful coffee table type book, but also gives me a lot of inspiration. This book really highlights the inherent connection between science and art across history, because early scientists had to make notes of their findings not just through text but also through drawings and sculpture. Sometimes there will be a spread with two parallel images, one from the recent past and one from the distant past, such as these two torso anatomy depictions from the late 1700s and from 1999. One story I liked was this artist who would ask to draw the portraits of people outside, and then he would attach the drawing to one of his cadaver studies. So then he would publish these drawings in anatomy journals or textbooks. I like to think that some people found out and were quite displeased to see their likeness on a dead body. Currently, I'm reading a manga series by Ai Yazawa called Paradise Kiss. I really enjoyed watching Nana, so I decided to read the Paradise Kiss books. I'm really enjoying all of the art and the drama. The writing is, of course, heartbreaking, and there's always toxic relationships in her books, it seems, but I'm loving every minute of it. The inner dialogue of her characters are always really rich, and I really enjoy that. I'm also about to start Norwegian Wood by Murakami for my book club. I haven't started it yet. I'm a little apprehensive, but I'm gonna give it a chance. I hope you liked my explanations of these books, and I hope you get to try them out at your local library, bookstore, or e-reader. If this was your first time watching, feel free to check out my other videos. They hold a bit more context about my art and about medical illustration. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.